So when I remember, when I bring back awareness of what I'm doing, when I'm out of the body every night, it's usually something like finding myself in some strange world, some strange city, on some strange planet, with secret police after me and weapons and beings chasing me, and I just get tired of it. I turn around, I sit down, levitate off the ground, send out the hue, stick a pyramid in the middle of it with a Satnam fountain in it, and turn it on, and then I disappear. So those are the kinds of things I bring back because they're important for me to know that progress is being made. It's not just being done for people on Earth. It's being done for other Earths in different parallel dimensions, being done for other worlds. So the hue expansion ray is moving through all the realities of the lower worlds right now, changing things so that each thing that's connected, each plane, isn't going to be negative. When one's clear, there's another negative atop or below it. They're all being moved through at the same time, which is practical if you think about it. So if you remember, it's not always going to be pleasant when you remember what you're doing. Sometimes you're busy working with some master teachers, or it's a trial thing, where you're in some world who doesn't want you there, and they're trapping people, and there's negative things. So the only thing you can do in such a situation is turn it into a positive. Change the scenario from what they're doing. Instead of fighting with them, you have to be aware enough to send out the hue, get involved with Satnam, and then these pyramids start manifesting in these places that were never there before. And they start moving out this energy and changing that reality. I've seen whole worlds change completely from what they were into something luminous and alive, charged oceans. That's being done all the time. Earth's going to get it sooner or later. But there's 8 billion resistance to change people on this planet. They're terrified of it. They're afraid of it. Afraid of getting out of their body. Oh, demons might get you, Or they're afraid that they'll be punished, or this or that or the other thing. Fear is the only thing that keeps people from not only being safe, but remembering who they are. Some form of fear somewhere in your past lives through all the dimensions. It's out there. It's part of your experience. And really, in the end, the only thing we have to get rid of is fear itself. Fear is not a true human emotion. It's artificial, and it's implanted in an artificially created subconscious domain. We're not meant to have a subconscious mind. It doesn't matter what they teach you in colleges or universities on Earth. We're not meant to have one. Subconscious means you're not aware of what's being manipulated in there and what's in there, or who's doing what with it. Not supposed to have a subconscious mind. So when I start recording, this becomes telepathic, becomes part of the journey. So we're already, I'm not giving you mindless information, positive stuff or negative stuff, or giving you enlightening information doesn't really help you much. It can help point the way to the step you need to take to get it for yourself, but it doesn't give it to you. No information on this planet imparted to people through the internet, books, or anything else really changes a person. It can help them get prepared to take the step, but they have to take the step and awaken what that information represents in their own experience. That makes practical sense, doesn't it? It does. It's just practical. We all know it. The funny part is we play this game with ourselves because of bad patterns and bad habits from many lives on many levels that we don't know, or it's too hard for us to know. That's just fear talking. Or we can't remember this, or we can't see that. That's just fear talking in your ear, whispering, "Don't you dare wake up or we'll kill you again." Everybody wants to get this primary implant thing done, but they have no clue. And the people pretending to remove them have no clue what's involved and why they aren't removed at this time. To really have that done for people all over the world, ships would have to land all over the planet, provide the technicians and the technology and the spirituality to fix this place. So in the meantime, we get fixed, some of us, while we're running a body on Earth, before we remember having a spaceship ride, so to speak. I can tell you, you'll have rides on ships from other worlds before you remember you've had them. Why? Can any one of you answer why you think that would be that way? Why do you suppose they do it like that for people on Earth? I mean, the way people are misdirected and conditioned, brainwashed on Earth. Why do you think they do it like that? In other words, you're having experience, but you're not letting yourself know it yet. So how wise are you on some level? You don't want to imbalance your physical life. You want it to get better, more balanced, more enlightened, more energy, right? More awareness. We all want that. But to have real freedom in moving the higher faculties with the hue, the omnipresent power, requires that we have the wisdom awakened in equal measure with it, or we're going to mess it up. It's pure energy. It's a living force. It's not to be played with. It's to be respected, and we're supposed to honor it and co-create with it. And if we're filled with fear of the present and future and trying to do good things for people at the same time, those two things neutralize each other and ground the energy to the earth, right into the molten core. I mean, just great, you're feeding the earth. It's not helping you. So we want the energy to come through us, benefit us, be conscious of it, and then go on through us for the benefit of others. That's all there is to it. And that means we have to have mastery or control of what we imagine, what we choose to put our attention on. If we put it on negative things and we're habit-ridden to do it, then we're going to get negative results. That's why it's so important, no matter what your daily life is, what you do for a living, or what you do for work, that you take the time before you drop off to sleep to not bring any negative fears of the present and future with you. For whether it's a sickness or disease or family member or somebody died or you lose a pet, just take them and wish them well in the hue and put all that aside on a shelf in your imagination. Stick it in a little computer box. All the stuff you're concerned about during the day. Take a deep breath and realize that's just going to be turned off for the time you spend out of the body when the body's in the trance state called sleep. These are the kind of things we have to get in control of in our lives. Because people aren't in control of anything down here. They're just buffeted by all this stuff in the atmosphere and how they're brought up and religious and political nonsense. Haven't got a chance to breathe and take a look at what's really out there in the greater God they pray to every day. And the world doesn't change from all those prayers. I'm not saying prayer's bad or it can't be helpful. If a person's really constructive and uplifting with prayer, talking to a savior or a Buddha or anybody, they're putting out a positive energy, then they're going to get constructive results back. But until they're ready to take on the responsibility that goes with accepting that we created this mess, and we don't like it, good and bad and evil, then we have to do something to change it. We have to be at least part of that. So that's what these journeys are really for. To help people recover what they cannot quite recover on their own. To help them see places in different dimensions on other planets that they can't quite imagine on their own. Imagination just means being able to see it somewhere. You're not making it up in your brain. There's nothing in the brain for any of that. That's not what it's for. I know that's what people are taught on Earth, but it's not true. People believe they imagined going to the store and they did it from their little pea brain they grew up with. No. Not even that is done from your brain. It's done from you. Through the pineal gland, through the brain. And so people naturally grow up believing that they're brain, the gray matter, is seeing things and picturing things and projecting things. Now, one lifetime, one brain, one body, and with 50 PhDs would not be able to do that. And all the stuff we're doing in these other worlds and other planes, the only thing that can comprehend such journeys is the Atma, you. Spherical, all those different faculties, that's way beyond the brain, has billions of years of experience in it. More even than the lower worlds of time and space, the age of the entire thing is. You don't know how long you were aware and awake in the upper worlds, do you, before the lower worlds were made and we were sent down into it to have experience? No. You can't contain that in a human brain from one lifetime, especially not human beings on Earth. Two-stranded DNA with telomeres that shrink. Some of the genomes are turned off now. So we get above the body's limitations and awaken into the Atma. And then we start learning how to master, bringing mastery and higher consciousness to the physical body of this one lifetime and brain we grew up with. You have to bring it here. What would be the point of ascending into a higher world, right? Praying to something or believing in something, but having no experience or wisdom in dealing with it. And if you suddenly went there, how long do you think you'd be able to stay there? See the point? Somebody would kick you out or send you back because you would be destructive, just because of subconscious influences. So we want those things, subconscious things, gone. As you both, all of you know, there is a man and a woman standing behind you in a pure energy form. It is not an astral body. Make this clear. It's not the body you're running in the astral plane that looks physical like your body, maybe a little higher energy. You know, it's running around in a body there, living a lot longer life there than you do here, where all emotion comes from. The beings that are standing beside you, behind you, are showing you a perfect form that is not made of matter or DNA or molecules or atoms. It's not a physical body, but it looks like one because it's a prototype. It's the first form we ever show to each other when we stepped into the lower worlds of the etheric, mental, causal, astral, and physical worlds. From beyond the void in the upper realities. We have experience in all these different levels, most of which is suppressed or suffering from a deep, fear-ridden amnesia in people on Earth. They don't know who they are. They don't know how they got here. They don't know what they used to know. They are left with almost very few faculties turned on. And they're still able to master running a physical body, which is a complex process. But they're doing it unconsciously, so they don't remember. Now that is what you would consider to be a trap for any Atma, any real being, spherical being that we are. And traps are meant to be mastered. We're meant to have mastery over all things in the lower dimensions of time and space because we come from those realities that are above them. We come from Source. We are Source. We were not meant to be the effect of negative things as we've become on this planet over an ancient period of time. None of that was expected in the beginning, but it's what happened. It's taken a huge amount of galactic, cosmic time in order to get things changing in the way they are now. Which means the lower worlds of time and space and the fixed and finished state they've been in has to be altered by the silent mentors in order for new things to take place. So if fear and negativity is to be removed from people, if a primary implant is to be removed permanently, the subconscious mind has to also go. They're part of the same thing. To be free of a subconscious mind, a being has to be fully illuminated, fully enlightened, fully awake as an Atma, in command of all their faculties. and with the wisdom to know how to keep it. So if they choose to have a body again or have a family, do whatever, they do it. Enjoy the same things, but we do it in consciousness of what we are. No illusions that we're a body. You know, we all know these bodies, great, you can enjoy them, they come, they get old, they drop away, and you have to leave everything behind you ever thought was meaningful or useful. Can't take any of it with us. So we want to be awake and aware on Earth as beings running bodies, not the other way around. So the couple is there and you are hovering near the ceiling. Very easy. This is like daydreaming, going to the store, the beach, or getting on an airplane. You're just imagining, basically you're seeing, not making it up in your brain. The brain is going into this trance state we call sleep. It's being turned off, the part that takes in visual information through the eyes and ears from the physical atmosphere of Earth that surrounds your body. And while that's turned off by this couple, these wonderful fellow beings from other worlds, Galactic Alliance personnel, who are many hundreds of years old in the body that they're showing you an example of, they actually have a physical body that looks the same age, but it's not a body on Earth. They didn't grow up on Earth. They didn't get brainwashed on Earth. They don't have subconscious minds, and they've never been implanted. Some of these people, like Shantiel and Tonaltiel and Dantiam and Lamtiam and others, are now partaking in the journeys as well as protecting you. They're going on the journeys because they're beginning to command certain teaching facilities up there and doing a session up there for a period of time, so that people from all over the lower planes of time and space that are being brought there now, not just you guys, you ladies, so they can begin to be examples of what they know for the benefit of others who come there. They go back to the Galactic Alliance when they return to their bodies, and they impart the experience that you people experience to all those 450 million worlds of fellow beings. Now, if you can imagine how many hundreds of billions of beings that represents, then you can see why it's possible now to bring about a transformation on Earth instead of stepping back and letting everybody who's misdirected, fearful of the present and future, simply annihilate themselves on this planet. End life here. Not their life, just physical form. Again. Which means it wouldn't be the first time life's been extinguished on this planet. It's an ancient history of this world and our solar system that none of you know. You weren't taught it growing up. Professors in universities do not know it. People that are trained in psychology and psychiatry, they don't understand yet where imagination comes from. They don't understand the influences that the astral, causal, mental, and etheric bodies you're responsible for have on you here. So they can't address correcting things. So they do the best they can with certain drugs that have side effects that are addictive. So either calm emotions, and some people need this, and I'm not making them bad, I'm just saying they don't heal anything. They don't solve anything. They just keep certain things suppressed so a person can live a basic balanced life. Some of it's chemical imbalance, but not most of it. It's a chemical imbalance. They can give it a boost of vitamin B or some kind of a shot and they snap them out of schizophrenia, things like that. But the real problems that are causing these things are not limited to this limited training people can get on Earth, because they're not looking out into the greater God. They're not exploring the greater multiverse. They're not connecting to beings that are far more advanced than here, who've solved these problems long, long ago and could simply bring it here to us. and are willing to do so when people are ready to accept it. The biggest challenge in all this work is getting people on earth that are afraid to be anything more than superficial with each other, in their conversations, what they talk about in restaurants. If you ever listen to most people's conversations, they're extremely superficial. There's no depth to them, no meaning. This is not the way people are supposed to be. I know it's the way people are conditioned to believe is normal, but it is not normal. Everybody down deep knows it's not normal. We all know it. Problem is, what do you do about it? Fact is, most people are only left with faith and belief in something because they don't know how to approach experience, and they're afraid of it. You should give yourself some credit that you were able to have the courage, against all odds of you ever recovering, to step forward on these journeys. Because you did that. I just made it possible for you to find it, the beings I work with and myself. But you found it. When you're hovering near the ceiling looking at your body, this is just daydreaming. Everybody knows how to do that. So simple, they don't realize that leaving the body and traveling into the multiverse is as simple as like imagining going to the store, except it's focused beyond Earth. And we have to know what the power, the one power, living power is that we connect to in order to have it travel or guide us somewhere. It is the power that moves us from point A to point B and back. We are not that power. We are made of the same power, like a drop out of an ocean of it. But if you want to move in the ocean from point A, where your drop is, to point C in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, you got to go through the omnipresent living power to get there. And it is not a type of energy that's limited by electronics or atoms or molecules or protons or neutrons or DNA or quarks or quasars or black holes or electromagnetic fields, time and space. That energy that's behind and supporting all that we're made of, that we are, is not limited by such things. People don't think this way on Earth. They think it's impossible for them to comprehend and experience what they think is the supreme being. But it is normal, and we're supposed to be doing that. Not afraid of it. We're not supposed to be worshiping something blindly that we don't see and never come and meet face to face. We're supposed to go there, shake its hand, receive a gracious welcome home, and return a freer being. This is normal for many world systems. The Andromeda, it's normal for most world systems. It's true for the Milky Way galaxy for most world systems. Earth is not an example of a normal planet. Beautiful as it is, it's not full of normal people. Not because they aren't good or have great potential, it's because they're subconsciously misdirected to not wake up. Fear is artificial. It is not real. And it is not destined to be permanent in creation, and it is being retired. To retire something like good and evil, something better that works has to take its place. So the universe remains intact. The astral plane and all of its parallel dimensions, the physical worlds, everything stays balanced. You can't just take something out of all that, it'd fall apart. It has to be replaced carefully with something that actually works. So when you're near the ceiling and there's a being, a man and a woman, a male and female hovering beside you, you realize you are showing them the same perfect type of beautiful female body, energy body that looks human, that they're showing you, about the same age. which means it's not relative to age on Earth at all and never has been. If we were really, really recovered here, and it could be allowed so it doesn't shock everybody else, you could simply superimpose that perfect form right down over your body on Earth and transform it on the spot. The energy that would come through such a form would be pure, powerful, right from source. And it would upset a lot of people, disturb a lot of primary implants, if you so know what I mean. So it can't be done that way. It has to come in from behind, from inside out, so that people, when they're ready, will step forward, take another step, and then take another step of their own volition, of their own free will, heading finally in the right direction. I suppose one could say, if we want to be normal, as many beings are out in the universe, our brothers and sisters from other worlds and other planes that don't have the problems people have on Earth, and they don't. Then we have to be willing to accept our responsibility for having created what you experience on this Earth, our little part of it. We're not responsible for the whole universe. We don't carry that on our shoulders. But if you take yourself all the way back to source before you started playing in the lower worlds, time and space, we all created this together. What you would call the Supreme Being is a nexus, a presence, a living consciousness. It's not an individual. And it is the connection of all atmas in all the levels of creation the hue supports, that it floats in. And we have to accept our responsibility to help those countless numbers of beings who can change things now collectively. This includes the Galactic Alliance in the physical universe, located on a planet called Zetranami 1. It's just what it is. Archendra is the name of the Galactic Alliance Council. It's the homeworld of the Andromeda Galaxy Galactic Alliance Council. They call that galaxy Sepharis, the distant wonder. The Andromeda Council calls it Sepharis as well. We call it Andromeda. It's more of a Greek, I don't know if it's Greek or where it comes from in Earth history, but it comes from astrological signs and back in those time periods. When somebody says that's the Pleiades star group, they're speaking about it being part of a constellation. That's not what the people out there call that group. When you go to a planet called like Narexalum, where I came from before this life, that is the name of that planet. Earth is what people call this planet, but they don't call our planet Earth. People call it Gaia. I don't know where the name comes from, but it's not what they call it either. So Galactic Alliance Council would have a name for our planet, wouldn't they? Going back far before recorded history on this planet. So who's got the right name, them or us? See how much we need to learn that we could acquire so quickly from being in harmony with such beings? This male and female are keeping your primary implant turned off. Your secondary implants are gone. So you have greater courage and greater wisdom to go further. And you have actually, whether you will admit it to yourselves or not, the ability to control the effects of the primary implant. Whether you've reviewed it yet or not, doesn't matter. What matters is the exercise you provide yourself to allow yourself to accept what you now know to be true And a year ago, you couldn't even touch it to save your life. Now it seems like you can understand these things, as if you always knew them somewhere. And you ask yourself, how could I be made to forget all of this so completely? Look on earth, and that'll be your answer. If you get born here, you're in trouble as far as staying aware is concerned. So we have to get that awareness, not so much from our fellow beings on earth, because they won't give it to you. But we have to get it from the freer beings in countless numbers beyond the population of this little planet. And we need to seek it from those who can provide it, who are not trapped, and who can see clearly how to provide that and help us over each obstacle we have to overcome, to remember for ourselves. When you're in space, standing in a circle of beings around Ambassador Turellian, who's 18 feet tall in his appearance, beautiful Atma hovering above this form he's showing you, like a Greek god, 36, wavy blonde hair to his shoulders, slightly wavy, pointed ears like an elf, bigger eyes, blue eyes, bigger than Earth human. 12-stranded DNA body form was what the Sayrays had, the most advanced human type of prototype body that existed long before human bodies you're aware of on Earth were even made. So we get our DNA from the Sayrays. Reptilians and Greys and Mantis and Etta and Din, they all have Sayrays DNA in them. The Sayrays are billions of years old. They had a job of uplifting lower life forms into higher genetic forms so that the Atmas could run them. They weren't all just human like you might believe. And we aren't God's favorite chosen as human beings. There are countless races out in creation. And we are meant to know and respect all of them because we're all Atmas running different types of bodies. But the thing is, we're all Atmas, and they are pretty much the same. One Atma hovering next to another Atma looks almost the same, but there's color differences. They're individual. They're all unique. So interesting. So he's simply showing you with his thumbs up, with a white golden light around his thumbs, he's simply showing you, by example, our potential. This guy doesn't even have a physical body on Earth or any planet. Doesn't need one, wouldn't be bothered with one. When he wants to mock up a physical body, he has a mate and enjoy her company the way they do. They just draw from the omnipresent you, mock it up with a saved DNA pattern and do whatever they need to do, and then they put their bodies away, store them. They don't have the burden of pushing a body around, feeding it, taking it to the bathroom and all that stuff. There are advanced human races in our galaxy alone that do not have digestive systems in the body form they have. They have organs that turn inert matter into a form of light. It's distributed through the chakras in the body. Now, those are good bodies, are human bodies to have. But they aren't on Earth, and they don't just have 2 strands of DNA either. It's probably very likely that all of you ladies had a body like that in your past. So it's not new to you. And you might have kept it for 20,000 years and then lost it or dropped it or went off to do something else. And then along the way forgot all about that fact that you once knew this kind of thing. Like consciously leaving your body through the creative imagination, through daydreaming, except focused out in higher territory. The body has to be put on automatic and put to sleep because the brain of the body can't comprehend multi-dimensions. It can't store that kind of information. So we kindly put it to sleep and leave and go consciously out on our journeys. There are many beings around us in this circle. All 5 of us are equally distant placed apart around Turellian in a circle. And there's planet Earth with the polar ice caps and the barren moon and the sun, white golden light everywhere, which is space that appears black but really isn't to us. It's not. It's all that black area in space, that little galaxies floating, but it has a consistent luminosity, a consistent brilliance, a consistent sound. To an Atma, it sounds like this gentle, deep, rumbling, not rough, of course, but almost like rumbling thunder, but very smooth, with no lightning. And it has a light of golden white brilliance. That is a type of energy that is not molecular or atomic in nature. It is not part of the physical creations and galaxies that float in it. People could call it divine spirit because they don't know what else to call it or what it is. But it's one living conscious power. And it's the same one conscious living power through the entire multidimensional creation, supporting all the levels. And we are, as individual Atmas, comprised of exactly the same energy, but from a much higher level originally than the void. So you see, we really come from source energy itself. We come from source energy before the lower worlds of time and space were even built. And we were there. You think you've forgotten a lot? It's not just lives on other worlds and billions of them on multiple levels below the void that's been forgotten. It's life in our home, our originating place. We were meant to return to that source regularly and report to that source, to share collectively what we've learned running bodies in different dimensionalities. This is where it gets its insight from, the source. And if people are not coming back there, which they haven't been for billions upon billions of years, except a few rare people here and there, then the lower worlds do not change. So the real secret about changing anything forever in an individual life is going above the void, working with beings where no negative nature exists, creating new ways of doing things, not just by ourselves, but with others in harmony. And then that gets tested by Satnam. It gets implemented if it comes back true, necessary, and kind. And the whole creation can change. Ramu is standing in his maroon robe near the earth, between 2 of you. Pelham's on the other side, further out in space. Light Seas hovering to the right upper side of Ambassador Turellian. Etten Dinner hovering above his head, their Atmas hovering above their Dren silica-based bodies, not carbon-based like humans. And Satnam is standing high above that, below a vortex, which we know leads to the void. And further upward. The Galactic Alliance personnel are wearing, for your benefit, a Galactic Alliance uniform over this pure energy body that looks human. It's just a projection from the white core of the Atma. You see the silver galaxy and the 4-sided golden pyramid with the quartz cap and 3 blue stars and triangular formation above the apex of the pyramid. It's kind of a blue-gray single form-fitting thing they slip into, fits over their body. They actually have one of those uniforms on their physical bodies, which are stationed aboard the Emerald Star cruiser, mile-long cylindrical parent ship that is hovering permanently for now inside the ice rings that orbit the planet Saturn. Their bodies are back there, sitting in a couple lounge chairs. The other personnel are walking around them, no problem. And they have their heads to their chest, out of their bodies. So Galactic Alliance personnel know exactly how to do this. They are experts trained in both secondary and primary implant removals and reviews. To have a subconscious mind gone, it must be replaced by the true nature of the Atma, as it was and as it knows it is, without any fear. And there's another element that's added to it. An element of wisdom that comes from having been created in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy by countless wonderful beings, and then brought down in the Hue Expansion Ray, in the omnipresent You that is already everywhere. And it starts moving through things, people, planets. And it has its own timing, and it has its own way of working from the inside outward in individuals. There is actually 4, but there's one that's been disclosed so far. There is a silent mentor world, conscious luminous world, in the Milky Way galaxy, in the physical universe of this galaxy. It's on the other side of the galaxy, located near the end of one of the severance spiral arms. I've never taken anybody there. It is called Naistraya, Naistraya. This is the conscious world of the silent mentors, located on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy, near the end of one of the severance spiral arms. The Galactic Alliance Council, in their advanced craft and all their awareness, do not venture there. They wouldn't even see it in space. It's a silent mentor facility in the physical universe. It's like a world not made out of matter that's right in the galaxy of matter worlds. So how are they going to see it? And what business would they have of going there? Curiosity? Those people are far too busy to be looked at with curiosity, even from the evolved level of Galactic Alliance personnel. There are literally so many types of spacefaring races. Human, humanoid, bird-like, cat-like, mantis-like, tall Nordic-like, reptilian, vegetarian. Not all were bad. Greys, tall ones, not all were bad. Never had anything to do with abducting people on Earth. So vast in number. People on Earth are not prepared to deal with such truth about how great the God is they pray to and the life that it supports. It's a problem for people on Earth because they're so numbed down, so afraid, so unaware of life out in the greater God they pray to. But they don't really want to go visit it, do they? They want to go to some heaven. Bypass it all somehow. Terribly irresponsible. Because what use would such beings be to a supreme being? If they're not trained or awake or can be trusted with higher faculties, well then, what do? See the problem. So out here in the omnipresent power, the living spirit, let's call it that. Usually I don't, because I have a higher way of looking at it and respecting it than that, which comes from direct experience. The energy we're in is the omnipresent living you. If we go to Naistraya before we go to the upper realities, why don't we try that? I'll do my best to try to describe for you what it's like being there. Ambassador Torellian is trained, or is being trained, by silent mentors. The whole Say-Rays race has been being trained by them for eons of time. So we have permission from silent mentors beyond Turelian. There are two hovering to each side of Sat Nam up in space. One is male, one is female. The male has a blue kind of single robe on. The female has a yellow type of robe on. He has blue hair to his shoulders. She has green hair. They have glowing golden faces, white light. Can't see any facial features. And a big old Atma hovering above each one, 4 times bigger than us. Twice as many layers of color in teardrops faculties. So these are the beings we have to get permission from to go anywhere near their territory. So why don't we take a little visit to Nystrea? To do this, you realize that the white golden light around Ambassador Turelian's hands is of a brighter hue nature coming down through Sat Nam from that vortex. And it's surrounding us in a oval-like shell of light, transparent. Like a spaceship. We're like inside a craft of light. Then you see a vortex whirling clockwise appear in space between the Earth and the Moon. It's made of countless tiny blue cobalt stars whirling around an opening. There's a tunnel of blue-green light. And this us in this shell of light is shot through it at tremendous speed. And as we come out through the other side, we are hovering above the Milky Way galaxy, looking down on it from that brilliant golden white light that is space to us. It's not black. It's not dark. And we're looking down on the other side of the galaxy. We can see Earth about 2/3 of the way out. One of the spiral arms is lit up. It says Earth. It's a big arrow coming out of it, and it's written right in front of you, Earth. And we're moving past that to the other side of the galaxy, opposite Earth, and we're going out to the end of a spiral arm, one of 7. And then we're moving down collectively until we come to find near the outer end of this one spiral arm a planet that is made of a transparent blue golden light, like a huge crystal. It's much bigger than a gas giant in our solar system, which are sometimes thousands of times bigger than Earth. And it's floating there between several other planets around a trinary star system. The planets are inhabited. Several of them belong to the Oceanian race. But this isn't visible to them. Now, Opelum, who's with us, he knows about this place. These 2 silent mentors are still hovering up above us with Sat Nam, outside this bubble that's containing us. And you look down into this world and you realize when you first move down into it, we're in this field of energy of the hue, moving into an energy field that's radiant, so bright. The water vapor in this atmosphere is so brilliant, your eyes squint. Then you begin to see this couple move down, big sphere they are, this perfectly formed male and female body with, you can't see any facial features because when you look in their face, you just see galaxies upon galaxies, upward and downward. It's how they think. And as we move into this atmosphere, you can feel the energy of the hue vary from above the upper worlds, moving through you. Or rather, we're moving through it. It's just there. If we come through this atmosphere, you see an ocean. And you can see through the entire ocean, right to the other side of the planet. And then you see in the atmosphere above the ocean, which is a charged, luminous, soft, calm water, yellow golden energy. You can see these crystalline type domes and towers, and just hovering in the air, circling the atmosphere around the ocean, between the ocean and the atmosphere of the outside of the planet. And you can see beings like these two moving everywhere, instantly appearing and disappearing from one structure that's transparent, glass-like, to another. And they're conversing in groups, and they're disappearing off the world. Others are appearing in it. They're coming from a plane called the silent mentor realm, which is a bit further than the ocean of sound and light. They are stationed in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy because that is where we can brush shoulders with them. They do not interact with us on this planet. That would not be for our benefit. As Atmas out of body, as pure energy forms from the source, the Atma we are is not prepared to deal with energy passing through us from them. So we are observing only. They're not interacting with us. You can see that there are probably over several billion of these beings moving around these buildings in this atmosphere between the calm ocean that surrounds the planet core and the upper atmosphere, which is bright and luminous. So this world has a great deal of the power of the Hue charged in its water vapor. One of the secrets of H2O in the physical universe, what it can do, what can be charged in it in a normal world. And we find ourselves in a group below Satnam and this couple of silent mentors. And we're moving up into this vortex. We're moving up from near Earth again. We're already back there. And we're going straight up into this opening vortex, which is turning clockwise. It has a high sound of a flute coming from it, a humming sound that's pulling us upward. There's blue-green luminous water circling the outside. We're moving right up into the center of this created, mocked up, interdimensional doorway between the physical universe and the parallel dimension where Earth is and the void. We're bypassing the astral and all of its problems, emotional, causal, cause and effect problems, mental, instant thought, good and bad, all those problems. Etheric, the misjudgment of people there to stay in a apparent eternity that isn't eternal. In transparent bodies that live for millions of years, and they've been stuck there, for the most part, for billions of years. And we're bypassing all of that. When we come out the other end of this vortex in this oval, transparent, golden light that Terrellian, myself, Satnam, and others are co-creating to give us a vehicle in which to travel safely with no negative nature whatsoever. That's all turned off back with your sleeping body on Earth for now. We come out the other end, we're in like a pale blue luminous light everywhere. It's just everywhere. I say pale blue so you get an idea of the color. But it's more brilliant than any hue in the universe down below by Earth. But it's still pale blue. There's no form here nor beings except us and these two silent mentors in Satnam moving ever upward above us. We're following them. We're co-creating, going where they're leading. The sound of the omnipresent source is pulling us upward. It is natural for us to want to return to that source. We can only do that when fear is not involved. No negative nature whatsoever can go with us where we're going here. We are entering the void where no negative nature exists. It also means that as the Atma, you have no negative nature in you, never have had any, no matter what brainwashing was done. We've never had negative nature. The field of energy that surrounds us, that allows us to float and travel in the huge, just like a planet or a galaxy floats in it. That is where problems are programmed or implanted, in that field. Generally only in the parallel dimension, in the field where you are, like from Earth, the hue that's out there. So as we move up through this void that doesn't appear to have anything in it but this light, we begin to see the appearance of this diamond-like white sandy shore. As we approach it, just as far as you can see in both directions, and it curves inward. And it tells you it's circling a huge, massive floating land in this pale blue light. Actually, it's riding on top of it. Because the energy that makes up that shore and that land, that Satnam's realm, it is the hue, but it's a higher form of the hue than what's in the void. So Satnam's realm becomes a huge transformer to move energy from higher planes through it into the void to sustain it, down into the etheric plane, mental, causal, astral, and physical, and the whole creation. We're moving over the top of this jungle, which has transparent trees and all these beautiful birds, the twin sets of wings, singing the hue, greeting us, flying beside us. The Atma hovering above the bird form, so they're giving you the understanding that these are not like birds on Earth. These are highly evolved genetic type forms made of an energy that doesn't even have DNA or matter in it. These are mock-up bodies. They have structure and they're run by Atmas here. All things manifested that you would see like land or buildings create their own luminosity, including each one of us. So when we move, you won't find in this atmosphere, as we move over the top of this jungle, we are under this huge cobalt blue light, much brighter than the pale blue light of the what we call the void. In the distance, you see the diagonal snow-covered mountain range, blue stone with snow. And from the lower right to the upper left, in the distance, this palatial estate all along the base of that mountain. Looks very much like the crystalline buildings you would find in Australia, that one of four worlds in the physical galaxy we call the Milky Way. So you see, the silent mentors have station worlds in all locations. And those worlds have so much power of the hue flowing through them. They're grounding points, these worlds. They support and sustain every single dimension. And individual beings are the ones who hold this in place and maintain galaxies turning on their axis, planets turning on their axis, Atmas like us floating in this same power, being able to move and travel in it. Being able to see other locations and places is how we tell the hue where to take us. Of course, we want to leave any negative fear of the present and future turned off or left behind when we go on such journeys, because you cannot take them with you. Not to Nostraya. You can't even take negative nature to the Galactic Alliance Council on Zetronomy 1. Can't take it to Zeontranomon 1. These beings do not tolerate negative natures, and they don't have them. We find ourselves high above the Hue Expansion Ray Academy circular landmass with that white diamond-like beach glowing around it. There's this beautiful blue-green luminous wave constantly curling around the beach and crashing on it, circles the outer circumference, holding it in place. Everything else outside and around this huge place is cobalt blue light with golden white light of the hue behind it. Silent mentors are present. Numerous silent mentors are present in Satnam's realm and in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy where we're going. We're going far out into the countryside of the Hue Expansion Ray plane. We're going over the top of those mountains in a group of beings, still around Torellian. He's just there to keep us all focused. That's what he does. Until we pass over vast countrysides, vast forested land, vast pasture lands, animals of description beyond anything on earth, grazing or flying through the air, and Atma hovering above each and every one of them. And we are moving through this wondrous land. Because here, we can experience what it's like to be an eagle or a bird or a cow or a turtle or a dolphin or a whale or animals and animal life, higher genetic forms from other worlds. And Atmas are above each, every one of them. And you can see some of them swapping positions. A dolphin's hovering near the shore, floating above the ocean, and a big eagle flies up to it, and the Atmas switch places. And now they get to experience what it's like to be the intelligence of an Atma running an eagle or an Atma running a dolphin. This is how we learn to respect all life. We have to have direct experience with it. It can't just be unbelief. Love thy neighbor and all that stuff. It hasn't worked on earth. It hasn't changed anything. So something has to come about to this planet that actually changes things. Consciousness. And way out in the distance of this land, you can see oceans as far as you can see, golden and blue and green, circling in the distance, and land beyond that. And around it all, this cobalt blue light. No moons, no planets, no suns, no stars here. They aren't needed, not necessary. They don't need day and night. They don't need to sleep. They don't need to eat. They do not get fatigued. They do not get tired. They do not grow old. They do not age. Whatever form is here that presents itself to you is an Atma doing that. And you're already presenting what you look like to them as we move through them. In the distance, you can see what looks like a massive fountain. It's bigger than a state in the United States. It has layers of crystal and blue matrix coming up to a point. And there's a blue ball or sphere hovering above the point, and a radiant golden white light in the center of it. This is a central connective point, a device. You'll see 12 silent mentors moving around this big fountain. It's more like crystal, but it's moving. So it's not water. It's flowing upward and it's flowing downward. And there's a white golden shaft of light coming down into this blue sphere. And it's powering the entire Atma plane of Satnam's realm. Right up at the top of this blue sphere is an opening. And just on the other side of this thin donut-shaped opening is an even brighter cobalt blue atmosphere. And we're suddenly shot up above this in that beam of light and deposited, heading forward into a much greater cobalt blue light. And then there's this massive circular floating landmass there. This is between the top of the 5th dimension of Satnam's realm and the 6th Purusha realm. And that's many levels below the ocean of sound and light, or Agam Purusha's place. And And we find ourselves moving towards the coast of this brighter diamond-like sandy beach that surrounds the Hugh Expansion Ray Academy. This place was built between the 6th realm, bottom of it, and the top of the 5th. It is maintained by masterful beings. The mechanical structure of it, the land, trees, animals, ocean, silent mentor teaching facilities, they're all maintained by silent mentors, held in place by beings. And so we find ourselves hovering above 6 snow-covered mountain peaks in the center of this massive land. And down in the middle of that, between the bottom basin of these 6 peaks, is a blue-green luminous lake circling a white island. A blue glass-like tower coming out of the outer edges of this island comes up to 2/3 of the way to a flat spherical area. It has a fountain in it. And then it goes up to a minaret point. So we got from Satnam's realm here, from going into the center of that Satnam's Atma realm. It's a vast distance to get there. We got there instantly. So now we're in another realm. And the fountain in the center of this flattened oval part has no statue of Satnam. It's just a brilliant golden white light. The fountain has translucent white alabaster-like stone, scalloped edges. It's a golden white shaft of light that looks like the shape of a Christmas tree. It's hard to describe because the light, it's like water, but it's not water, and it's moving up and down. Out in the distance, as we move higher above the Hugh Expansion Ray Academy, there are 4 teaching facilities manned by silent mentors. They are located in 4 strategic locations. At the base of these 6 mountains are these horseshoe-shaped, perfectly formed tunnels and white stone roadways coming out of them, going in each direction through the forested lands and pasture lands and beautiful tropical gardens, like the spokes of a bicycle tire. Many of them. They all are straight as an arrow and end on the beach. And when you look down each one, to the left and right, there is a clearing and a different type of building, a different kind of teaching facility in each one. The silent mentor realms are in the northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest quadrants, right 2/3 of the way out the middle road, in the middle of the quarter of this sphere we're looking down at, the circle of this landmass. In a Thai-guided group journey earlier, we went to a new teaching facility. It's not new, but it's the first time it was exposed. And it is out the eastern roadway, north, south, east, west, east. It's about halfway down that roadway, and it's turned to the left into a clearing. In that clearing are these desktops, like 6 of them. Some of them have 12. There's a white leather-like chair in each one, and above it is kind of like a spherical, transparent projection screen. And each one of you is sitting down in the white chair, looking at these 6 tables, and each table is these 3 pyramid-shaped structures. And when you touch them, they glow. And then they form an image inside the sphere. And this is something that's dear to your own heart, something that you create naturally without fear. And inside this sphere are 2 silent mentor beings and 2 master teachers. And then you're inside it. The body's sitting in the chair, the perfect human-like form. But you're up there floating in there as an atma with these beings. It's an open clearing. So you're inside a place where we can at least rub shoulders with silent mentors and master teacher beings. They're just doing their thing. But whatever it is you've imagined and created, they're adding to it more than you could do on your own. This is the way it works there. And whatever you've added to it is respected. We naturally respect what contribution these beings make, because ultimately whatever it is that's built here is being brought back with you all the way to Earth to be a benefit for people there. No negative nature. Up above this facility, it's a circular facility in a clearing. You can see other beings sitting behind these tabletops with a chair and the sphere hovering above them. Dozens of them. Coming from different parts of the multiverse, going through the same experience here. This isn't really per se a silent mentor teaching facility. It's more of a master teaching facility that includes them. This means that as we're up in those spheres, the energy moving through us is the way the silent mentors rub shoulders with us. The energy of the hue moving through them is much more powerful, more masterful, even than master teachers, even though they're masters. So it changes us in subtle ways, and it helps the master teachers who are also helping us in balancing the energy of the silent mentors, which is generally too powerful for us. So this is where we rub shoulders with silent mentors, where there's no negative nature, the only place we can for now. Ambassador Torellian is hovering up above in the sky above, and we join him. We're back in this sphere of golden white light around us. And then we just shoot upward. And you begin to see there's no barriers between the different realities here. Like the void between the upper and lower worlds, or the barrier between the bottom of the astral and the top of the physical. We move through these other energies and things change into finer and finer light, finer and finer structures. And we move upward until we come out in Agam Purusha's realm. This is a being very vast, very big. The realm we're moving into is a fiery realm. It just means it's the pure and positive energy, unmanifested, unformed energy of creation that comes from realms above here. And he holds it all in place, this one being. It's massive. You can't even describe what he looks like. All these teardrop layers, but it's more than a silent mentor. So the first thing that I did when I met with Agam Purusha was ask to be his buddy, his friend. Because people are usually afraid of him. The energy around us is fiery and red and orange and yellow and moving all over the place. Looks like gargoyles are coming out of the energy and disappearing. So it might frighten you, but it's just the raw energy moving. And he holds it in place. In the distance is this massive silver tree, glowing. The roots gigantic, going down and disappearing into this fiery light. The top of the tree goes up as far as you can see and disappears in the heights. In the trunk of the tree, it's transparent. There's a brilliant golden white light moving up and down it. And you can sense that Agam Purusha has given us permission, as a group, to go inside the trunk of that tree, the tree of life. And so we are moving up the trunk of the tree. When we come out the top of that, we are in a vastly brighter cobalt blue arena. It's everywhere. It's cobalt blue, but it's a golden white light around it. It's mixed. And in the distance, you see what looks like a single silvery golden galaxy turning on its axis. Spiral arms like you would find in a physical galaxy, all the way down in the physical universe. But as we move through between these beings as a group of beings, you realize that each one of those things you thought was a star is a spherical being. Remember, stars and planets and moons and suns are made in the image of their creators. This is where that image comes from. This is the ocean of sound and light. This is prime creator. This is source. As we move through these beings, vast space between them like two stars in space, we're shot forward until we come to an interior, hollowed out interior, like a vacuum in the center of it. And there's one round, luminous white island. And floating above it is a massive, spherical, Atma-like presence. Millions of colors. Depth of teardrops, you can't even describe it in human terms. And we're moving as a group between the individual faculties or focus points of what the Silent One or Prime Creator is, source. Until we come to inside the white core that makes up the presence. And when we're in it as a white core of the being we are as Atmas, we're identical to it. And you hear this voice come out of this, because it's not an individual being. There's no throne chair here. No guy with a beard and a staff saying, I'm God and do what I say or I shall smite you. No. There's instant respect and recognition that we are the same as it on a smaller scale. And you hear this voice that's like a deep male voice and a beautiful woman's voice. It's blended in this harmonious tone. It is a focus point of presence that we can communicate with that is made up of the connection to all Atmas that exist in all the multidimensional creation. Every world, every plant, every animal, every sea life, every being, every spacefaring type of race on all levels has a focus point from where we all originate, where we came from. And in this presence, you look at this source and say, I am that. And it welcomes you home. And then it tells you we must return because we can't stay here long. It's so far removed from life on Earth. Your body on Earth would cease to function. It would perish. So we can't stay here long. Just enough to connect and know that you've just communicated the unique nature of your individuality to this presence. So it now knows you've come home. It is now aware of you in a different way than it was before. We find ourselves walking beside Turellian down a white stone roadway in the western roadway of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. We're actually walking in these body forms that are pure like human, perfect woman, beautiful, about 36. I would look about 36 as a male. I'm walking beside Turellian. We're all walking down this road, which is quite wide. You can see a clearing on the right, a clearing on the left, and as we move, levitating above the road, like we're walking, but we're moving very quickly. The Atma we are is hovering above these forms. And each clearing has a different type of structure, different kinds of light, different kinds of beings going in and out of structures, teaching. And we find ourselves stopping on the luminous diamond-like sands, glowing a foot above the sand. There's a blue-green, cobalt blue, a little bit darker green, blue-green than the atmosphere, which is a cobalt blue. And it has this tinge to it. It looks like water. But you know it's not. And so we're standing in these pure energy forms and our toes are wiggling in this light. And this light of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy is some of it's just moving up through this energy form that looks human into the white core of our being, and it's going out and it's doing something with the different teardrops and the different layers. And then it keeps moving right past you, never stops. It moves through us, and we move on it. But it moves through us for our benefit and then on its way to benefit others. Then we find ourselves levitating with Tyrolean out into the distance of that ocean that surrounds the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, this ocean of cobalt blue light. And then we plunge down inside the depth of this ocean, and we're like riding an elevator. And as we move down through layers of the depth of this atmosphere that surrounds the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, we see layers of different type of life that you would know of as in Earth's oceans and many other worlds, moving freely, breathing the same liquid which is not liquid, and simply coming up and viewing us as we pass by them. Atmas are hovering above all of them. Some of these that are not human are teachers in a form they prefer, like a whale or a dolphin or a hummingbird. The first silent mentor I ever met on Earth approached me and hovered in front of my face a few inches from between my eyebrows and looked at me. Took the form of a hummingbird. And I won't even describe what happened, but tremendous things happened. That's how I met the top silent one, unexpectedly, long before I started doing this work. So we're moving down through this beautiful vortex of light, golden white, and we see this oval sphere of transparent light encompass us again. Kind of a protection because we're now going down, bypassing a different way. We're moving through the different subtle blending of rainbow colors, and we're going down through the void, and we're going down through the etheric plane. Now we're stopping for a moment. There are 80,000 continents on this massive world, no polar ice caps. And you find yourself, each one of you, standing in a transparent female form by a palatial estate. It's transparent. Your body's transparent. You can see the chakra centers. These are not physical bodies. They're etheric bodies. The Atmas hovering above this form, that's you, and that's your etheric form. And it's aware that Satnam and Tyrolean are with us. It's paying attention. And then it's moving you downward to the mental plane where you have another more physical looking body made of finer material, nature of the hue, and you're a scientist. Some of you have tall bodies like the Zeontranamus with silver hair and violet eyes, ivory colored skin, about 10 feet tall, moving between pyramids around domes. It's a scientific area on a massive world. And you all know each other. Tyrolean, I'm there. Satnam is there. Etta and Din are playfully flying around us. They go with us on these journeys. And so that body, standing on the deck of some palatial home, is aware of the etheric body above. It's looking down. You're looking at each other right through the dimensionality. And then you're moved down into the causal plane. It's a little more solid physical form out on one of many thousands of islands, tropical. And you're in these geodesic dome complexes with big decks, and you're standing there. The Atma you are is hovering above it too, and it's looking up at the mental and etheric body, and it's looking down the plane right through the sea, and looking and seeing you standing on another tropical area of many thousands of islands, in a pure positive area of the astral plane, where there's no negative nature misdirecting you. And that body is waking up and seeing the causal body above, mental body above that, etheric body above that, and then it's looking down, because Satnam and Tyrolean are there and kind of kicking them in the butt a little bit. Get off their selfish way. and then you're seeing your physical body. We're in a circle of beings around Turelian, near Earth with its polar ice caps and barren moon. And then this astral form is seeing you sitting in that chair, back on Earth. The male and female beside you from the Galactic Alliance are there. Your body's in the trance state called sleep. And the energy is moving down through it of this experience. And it's passing through you. It's imparting a certain wisdom to you that you didn't have before. So that as you acquire more awareness through your own courage, you will gain mastery again and never be vulnerable to lose it again. The wisdom to keep it is most important. We don't ever be suckered into thinking and imagining in negative ways, because that's what trapped people. And it moves through us for our benefit. And then it moves on its way to 3 pyramids on Earth. You know about them. It goes to 1 station between 2 stable asteroids in the asteroid field that's moving at high speed in the orbit of what was a planet. It was blown up. It travels around the sun in the orbit of a planet between Mars and Jupiter. And it goes out to other pyramids, and it goes to the central axis of the Milky Way galaxy and up the shaft. So that is a doorway between the source and the physical universe, what we call the Milky Way galaxy. There are levels of Milky Way galaxies in parallel dimensions of the physical universe. It's just big. And it goes back to source, and it never stops moving from the top to the bottom and back. And that's how we're supposed to be. So when you go back into life, as you begin to open your eyes on Earth, you realize that you're running a body on Earth as an Atma. You're running a body on the astral plane as an Atma. You're running a body on the causal plane as an Atma. You're running a body on the mental plane as an Atma. You're running a body on the etheric plane as an Atma. And you are still revolving around the central nucleus of the ocean of sound and light, prime creator, source, because we never left it. The rest are the multidimensional capable nature of each Atma to manifest and work and get experience on all these planes. So it's actually going to come through you to make your outer life more intelligent, less fearful, more in control of not focusing on negative things, choosing a free will, to turn off fear when it comes up by going into the hue and knowing you have the ability to command the primary implant. We're going to do reviews of what's in those implants, I think starting next month. That isn't removing it, it's making it conscious so that it cannot affect you anymore. This is something you can choose to do of real awakened free will, if you wish to. When you're ready, open your eyes. If you wish to turn on your microphone, I just want to wish you all well. Go ahead. Hi, Lee.
Hey,
Now, was that an adventure for you?
absolutely a lot of new phrases, and I was able to stay awake for a lot this time, but I feel I'm squirming around a lot too, so
That's because your intelligence, your IQ is higher, and you're breaking the old habit of
mm,
identifying with going to unconsciousness with the body when you put it to sleep, because you're putting a machine to sleep, running it automatic, feeding it energy, recharging it when you're out and bringing energy back to it. The body does not run itself. Human bodies do not run themselves without an Atma giving them a certain energy to run. See? Now you know that, so it helps you when you're living your life. Obviously, you're going to be surrounded by beings on earth that know none of this, are dumber than bricks as far as that's concerned. But you can know that they were once like you and just let them be. Because the energy will come through you for their benefit, and it knows what it's doing with each of those people. We don't. Leave it into the hands of beings from above the void. That's what I do. Anything you'd like to add, Sophie or Peter?
No, silent mentors more involved, like present the planets on this Milky Way galaxy.
I think it's important at this point in this work to begin to reveal to people that silent mentors that run the whole mechanics of creation, you should know about them. And they have bases in the physical universe on planets that a Galactic Alliance Emerald Star cruiser could not go to that planet and see it unless they wanted them to. Impossible. Because they're not made of physical plane energy. Like the planet Zetronomy 1 is made of highly charged U energy, normal world. Silent mentor worlds aren't made of that energy. They're made of energy from above the void and positioned in the physical universe. Like those pyramids in the bottom of Earth's oceans. Does that make sense to you now? Why? A year ago, this couldn't have made sense to you to save your life. How come you know it now? See what I'm talking about? How subtle your intelligence expands. Your ability to be the Atma running a body starts to switch things around so that you're the Atma running the body, not the other way around. Any questions?
Now we can see what our so-called higher selves will help us with this physical body, this physical world.
Well, to have it superimpose over your body, there are other than just your own selfish, I don't mean you personally, selfish interests involved here. If you had that done and were walking around on Earth, everybody on Earth would know it. Governments, religions, and they'd all be afraid of you. Because you would stand out like a sore thumb. You would be, they wouldn't understand it. What do people do on Earth that react to something they don't understand? Fear. They would attack you. They would try to seek your undoing. So we have to be very masterful in what we reveal to fellow beings on Earth until they're ready. Right? You can't force anything on anyone. So it has to come from the inside out. So the beings I work with beings at night when they're out of their bodies and help them make these changes so they can find this work and go on these journeys and begin to recover who they are. You don't try to preach it on the outside because everybody's blocked by, that's been done to death to them. All sort of thousands, millions, billions of years. So it has to come from the inside out. Any questions? I'm going to bring the recording to a stop.